Detours. Brought to you by Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation. At the recently held Paralympic track and field trials in Miramar, Florida, American record holder in the seated shot, Dennis Ogbe, fell just short of making his goal of making the team to Paris. While athletics are certainly a priority, and not making the team this time around may have been a disappointment, Ogbe ultimately finds satisfaction in his life with the hard work and the love of his family. Dennis, talk a little bit first about, what the layers are and the little difficulties that go into the seated shot.
Yeah, it's very complicated. I'm happy you asked that question because most people just think we just come and sit and throw, but there's a lot that go into it. First of all, you have to look at your disability and its make, and what's the best part to pose on the chair. It's not just sitting down and throwing, but where in your body can you use to generate the most force to get that distance. Like I'm one of the very few that have polio paralysis, so all my left leg is paralyzed to my stomach, my ab, so I don't have all those muscles. So I have to try and position myself in where I am strongest so that when I can push from there easily and then get the distance I want.
So many people are probably under the misunderstanding that that a shot put is all about what you do with your arm. It's just about the put. But so much more goes into it. You talk about a little bit about how you use your core to maximize your throw.
Yeah, that's very important. I think the core is almost everything, and it's not the size that matters, but it's the technique you use. If you see most of my counterpart people I beat, they are much taller, bigger, and I compete with people with amputees, which is really different, but I'm surprised I'm in the same class with them, because even though they are amputated below the knee or above the knee, they still have all the muscles on the thighs and their abs. Mine is all paralyzed, just this one leg I have. So the way you pose and the technique you use is very important. Of course, you're going to work in the weight and all that, but the technique, and of course it has to go with your mindset to push that put as far as you can. So those are some of those things, and it's individual, depending on how hungry you are to eat,
Coming into the competition yesterday, did you feel moderately confident that you would be wearing that gold medal?
Of course, we all have to think of our best. Even though I know beginning of the season, I had an unfortunate situation in my family. I lost my mother, so I've been out of training for months. I had to only start coming back after her funeral, like between late April, early May, on and off. And I have a job to keep, I have a family. So I've been rotating within all those and then with my training. So to your question, coming here, of course, I was planning and training for it, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. But it's not that easy. But I knew when I come here, I'm going to give my best shot. And making my standards to even come to nationals in the first place was a very big deal, because out of the whole 50 states, I'm one of the few that make it to the nationals. It's enough pride. And coming here and getting the gold medal, I'm really, really happy. And PR, I threw my PR here. So I gave some of this to...
And what is your personal record?
My personal record here was, for yesterday, was 12.03.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, meters.
We'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Sports and Spokes magazine. For nearly 50 years, they've produced stories on iconic athletes performing at the top of their game, given generational coverage of sports dating back to the 1970s, and they've shown the way with exciting and timeless magazine cover shots. To stay on top of all the latest news from the world of high-performance adaptive sports, go to sportsandspokes.com. Sports and Spokes, the magazine for wheelchair sports and recreation. So with all those things going on in your life, your work, your family, and everything else, it's a whole lot to manage. Do you have your training set up in your yard? I mean, it seems like it would be an ideal place to maybe, use your shot put on a regular basis.
Yeah, I can't do that in my yard, and I have to concentrate when I'm throwing. So I have to go to a field. I have to drive kilometers to the college I went to try and throw on their field. So that's another kind of, what I won't call it challenge that we have, because I have like a special throwing frame that I throw off on, and it's heavy. So taking that, pushing it into my little car and taking it all the way to drive. When I get there, I have to anchor it, sitting down, before I plan to sit. It takes a lot of things. Before I start to throw, it takes almost like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And those are big, big challenges. And that's something that most people don't know. They think we just come out here and throw and it's good. And my backyard may not be big enough for me to throw, things like that. So it's very complicated, and those are the challenges we face.
What's the basic cost of a throwing frame?
It's about maybe $3,500 to $4,000.
And how long will one typically last?
You see, it lasts, it depends on how you travel. Because most times when I travel and they have to handle it in the plane, it's all banged up and pushed in. Some areas are broken off, I have to come and replace. So it depends on how long it is and how the frame is done, depending on the kind of materials they use for the frame. Right now, people want to use the thermodynamics type frame to make it lighter. Since we are going to anchor, it's good, but it may not last because of all the banging. When they put it in the plane, something may be on it, something may be pushed against it, and you see all those dents. And once a dent happens, you have to change it because the specification, they have the height level, the width, and all those, they're very important to compete with. So it's complicated.
Going into Paris, do you have an idea of who your competition is and what it will take for you to get on the podium?
Yeah, I know who the competitors are. A guy from Poland, couple guys from Brazil, North America, and from Europe, there are very few of them. Yeah, there are a lot of them.
What's the final steps of preparation? You're only about 45 days out.
And by God's willing, if I make it, I think I have to intensify on my height when I throw. I need to get that height higher to get the distance. So those are some things I'm working on. And then the push from my wrist outward, I have to try and amplify that too when I throw.